that's the cause of oppression. That's what apartheid does to people. It sends you crazy. And the amount of videos that I've seen of dead children this week is more than I ever care to want to remember and see again in my life. Okay, but now them kids, what are they going to do when they grow up? What are they going to look at? They're going to look at the likes of you and what you're heading for.
I know. Let me tell you something. I was in Israel during the attack. I was there. A few hours before the attack, I was arguing in front of right-wing Israelis for a settlement.
A lot of you are, and I applaud you.
No, but let me say something. I was literally 6 hours before the attack arguing in front of an entire group of right-wing Israelis that there needs to be a Palestinian state and there needs to be peace. There has to be one. Whoever knows me here knows where I stand on the state of Israel. I know very well where I stand, and I've called them out more times than any of you. I promise you that. Probably combined. That's what I've called them out more both here and in Israel. I've done it everywhere, and I will continue to do it because inherently I will call it wrong regardless of what the other flip side is. But there has the argument I don't make is not moral, because like I said, moral is not relevant. It's like, what do you hope to achieve? Now, Israel is not getting rid of Hamas. It's a practical, that's a reality. It's an idea. It's not people. It's an idea. And especially, it's an idea. You can't. So even if you flatten the strip, kill 2.2 million people living in it. Let's say you go down the road and you go, what have you achieved? You're going to kill the other million of them in the West Bank, and then when all the Muslims around them, because millions of Muslims in the world, tens of millions support the Palestinian cause, and if they support the cause morally and partly as religious, and I completely understand that. It's not they see it. So what? You're going to kill every Muslim who supports them. So what would you recommend? Let me finish. So it's not about. Like I said, morality is not relevant. I don't care what your morals are. What's your practical solution? When you're going to kill every person who supports the Palestinian cause? That's when the stage you're going at, and that's the question. But the flip side also goes, and when we talk about the issue, when we talk about Hamas, it's a fundamental issue. The leaders of Hamas don't even dance.
No, they don't. I think they're cowards.
And I think they're in Qatar. And
have they spoken up since all this has happened?
Yeah, they've made dawah for the Palestinians. They've made dawah. Don't laugh at that. I promise you, that's what they did. That's exactly my point. I think if we actually wanted a real solution to the conflict today as it is Qatar should kick them out of Qatar.
Is that where they are?
What? Then Qatar.
Sorry,
then
excuse me.
What? Yeah. It's not. First of all, Qatar doesn't deny it. Qatar doesn't deny it, and the Iranian foreign minister just went to visit to compliment Hamas leaders. Because again, he has no stake. He has nothing in the game, so he can compliment them. Right after the attack, he went to congratulate them.
Now, they've stirred the hornet's nest, and then they've come away, and now they're letting it.
I think if these people actually lived in the strip, and they actually feared a drone strike on their head, their actions would be very different.
How did they get out of the strip?
What?
How did they get out?
Most of them have been there for like 20 years already. And first of all, a lot of them, they leave for the Rafah crossing, which is with Egypt. And only that, a week before the attack, they took all their family members out. They took all their family members as well out. Now, I'd like to...
I'll let him.
He's never been to Palestine, yet he condemns Hamas out of knowledge.
Yeah.
About you've been to occupied Palestine that you call Israel.
Yeah.
Do you condemn what Israel did for 75 years the Palestinians? Do you condemn them?
As I told him, and I'll tell you.
Do you condemn them? As I told him. Always they have this kind of answer. We do like this. Do you condemn them? He condemned them
very
straight
simple
away.
answer. It's either a yes
He
or no.
said he condemned them.
I know you want to explain it further. You seem the type you want to explain
I blame
things.
him. He condemned them. Even he never been to Palestine. He doesn't.
Can I answer you?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yes. As I said before.
Yeah, you do.
I've called out Israel and condemned Israel more times than everyone here combined. I can promise you that. All right, I've called out Israel. Any of the people who know me here will actually know where I stand and say I've called in apartheid state. What? Anyone here? Anyone here that knows me, listen to me. What?
It seems that a lot of people want to beat around the bush and say.
I've never beat around the bush. No, I've made it very clear where I stand on the state of Israel. But I don't think that inherently that's my argument. It's not about morality. I think it's a mistake.
But we do, evidently, by what you're saying, we do share the same morality.
I don't think so.
And that is to forbid evil and enjoy the good. And that, if forbidding evil, that evil is harming innocent people that have nothing to do with this conflict, we share the same morality. Of course, morality is important. As long as we share the common
but we don't. We may, but the conflict doesn't. So when we talk about
but I'm not about the conflict, I'm about the likes of me and you and everyone else.
that could be, then yeah. But when we discuss, now I like to go back. You seem to be skeptic about the atrocities Hamas committed. That's what it sounds like. Am I wrong? Yeah. Of what Hamas, what they did in 7th of. Do you see that? No, he said you sound a bit skeptic.
Because my boots are not on the ground, I don't know fully what has happened and what hasn't. So for me to then come and say, oh, what they did and what they didn't do, yada, yada, I wasn't there. So it'd be ignorant for me to say that. If they did what the news has said that they've done, then I can get it.
No, I get that answer. That I'm asking
But
why
we,
you.
but
I want to
we don't
address your
know because
skepticism.
we wasn't there. We wasn't there. You wasn't there and I wasn't there, so we don't fully know. The only people that know are the people that are involved and God.
Did you know that the Islamic Ftjew Council back in March condemned Hamas already?
Shall we say that again?
The Islamic Ftjew Council senior clerics, a Sunni, a Shia, a Sufi.
I don't take from Sufi or Shia. So
Okay. Well, including Sunni clerics, they condemned Hamas. I don't know. I don't have the names off the top of my head, but they condemned Hamas for torturing Palestinians and for human rights abuses.
He's
Yes.
not supporting Hamas here.
Absolutely, I agree.
So-
Condemning it because it's not within Islam.
Yes, exactly. I'm wondering why this organization, which was deemed un-Islamic back in March, is now okay for some people.
You
Okay,
have to ask them. Why are you asking him?
I don't support Hamas.
Okay, I was hearing support
I'm a
for
Sunni
Hamas.
Muslim.
He was not.
I'm a Sunni
Okay.
Muslim and I don't support Hamas. My opinion is they're murtad. They're not on the straight path.
Yes. Okay, good.
But if they repent and change their ways, then of course I support the means for resistance against illegal occupation. That illegal occupation, like if there's conflict from their resistance that cannot harm women, children, elderly, or any non-combatant. That's what I agree with. We have rules and regulations
Yes,
for war.
absolutely.
No, and they must be followed.
Do you feel that Hamas did not do those things?
I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Is that a standard of proof you maintain for everything?
No, that's an honest opinion. I do not know because I was not there. But if I'm going to take my source from the likes of the BBC and CNN, no, I don't.
So I don't think you should take your source from them. I think you should take it from Hamas themselves. They had GoPros
I
on.
don't know anyone from Hamas.
No,
How am I meant to?
I'm
How
not
am I meant
saying
to
you
know?
know. I'm not
How am I
saying-
meant
So
to know?
will you not trust Hamas's own website and what they
No, absolutely. I just said they're murtad. I don't believe or follow their course.
Boy, your standard of proof is pretty high. So you actually have to be on the ground to
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Does that go for the? For
You
what?
have to take from reliable sources, okay, sources that are trustworthy, or you have to be on the ground.
that would make it very difficult to make any sort of.
Do we know
political
fully what
decision.
happened? Do we know fully what happened in World War II, or do we believe what our teacher said in our secondary
Well,
school?
we have to because we
No, we don't.
can't go back in time.
The victors get to decide what goes in the history books and what gets spoken about in class. Okay? There's two sides to every story, and if you noticed in your upbringing and education, my upbringing and education, and everyone else's here, that we never heard the side from the Germans.
I think it would be very hard to realistically get by in life if you need to be an eyewitness for everything you believe.
No, listen, I'm not saying it's gospel. I'm saying that never trust it fully. You can never trust something 100% unless you see it, or unless you have a reliable source to take that information from. And that, like I said, reliable source is a key word in it.
What constitutes a reliable source?
Who knows?
Al Jazeera?
They could be truthful, they could be not. But if what we're seeing, is actually happening, then of course, hold on a minute, that's a reliable source of information. So, have they ever lied? Have they ever tried to cover the truth like Israel are doing? No.
We jumped there, right? Like
No,
Israel.
I'm saying Al Jazeera or CNN. If I were to present that to you on a plate, which one do you follow? Would you take your information from?
I would read them both.
Really?
Yeah, I follow them both.
What happens if they contradict each other?
Well, then I weigh which one sounds more plausible.
More
You're
possible.
you're the arbitrator. You're the arbitrator.
Well, of course, I'm the arbitrator of everything I believe.
What do you do?
Who else would be?
I'm curious as to what do you do in this circumstance. What do you do?
In this circumstance?
Yeah, in this situation.
I believe terrible killings did happen.
On both sides or on one side?
Well, on that particular day, on one side, it was all Israelis being
But
killed.
why do you think that happened? That event happened. Why do you think?
Because I have friends of friends who were there.
No, you're not. You're missing the point. Why do you think that one event happened? Why do you think that those people
What led to that?
thought about it in their minds to go and take that upon themselves to do?
I think some Hamas leaders did not like the fact that Israel was moving closer to Saudi Arabia and they were closer
how does that get them to get 2,000 people to come in and do it? So even if that's true, how does that get? Just because they're not happy, some group people in Qatar are unhappy with what Israel's doing in Saudi Arabia. How does that lead to? You're talking about a few thousand people cross over the boundary. So what made those few thousand people, regardless of what their religious or political or sociological ideology, what led them to that decision? So
The idea was to elicit a massive counterstrike by Israel.
no, but what made them want to do that in the first place? What led them to make the conscious decision to wake up on a Saturday morning, pick up a machine gun, pick up explosives?
I think it was planned over a period of
You
time.
know, what made them do it? But what made the individual person?
Geopolitical strategy.
So the
They wanted to drive-
19-year-old kid who rode the motorcycle with a machine gun had some geopolitical strategy that
No,
led
but
him.
the people who directed him did.
No, but what made him? We're discussing this individual, the 19-year-old kid, Yusuf, riding the motorbike. What made him?
His leaders did. They convinced
They
him.
took up. Why? And what was the logic they sold him on?
I just told you, they wanted to drive a wedge between Israel and any other,
Why do they want to drive words between Israel? What do they have against the state of Israel?
because those countries fund Hamas.
No, but what do they have against Israel?
What do they have against Israel? You can speak to that better than I can.
Why?
But
Why can he speak it better than you can?
I've been hearing it, what they might have against Israel. So,
What who might have it?
That sounds like one where he thinks what you might have against Israel.
Do you want to know what I have against Israel?
Yeah.
Would you like to know?
Exactly.
I'm just saying
paid
that
for petrol.
I think
Paid for Yusuf's petrol.
prior to World War II, there was a lot of planning to take Israel back. Well, not to take Israel back, but to take it over, should I say. And I think 1947...
No, Freudian slip, you were right there.
I feel like... You've thrown me off now. I feel like when the Palestinians welcomed those people...
They didn't welcome them. They didn't welcome them. They didn't welcome them. But they did. No, you're lying.
remember there were already
There's a lot of evidence to show that they did
I can
welcome
prove it
them in
too.
because there's a lot of history with the Muslims and the Jews because they're cousins.
What's his name? Mufti Al-Hussein went to Hitler. He was a grand mufti of Jerusalem.
Just please
No,
give
but
me
you
a
can't
minute
say
to
he
speak
welcomed
and then
them.
we can talk about it.
No, but it's not.
But a lot of them did welcome them.
No, but
a lot of
the
them did. The
leadership
rest of
did.
Europe didn't want
But
them
you
for
agree the
whatever
leadership
reason.
didn't? Let's agree with the leadership didn't.
Forget the leadership. Forget the leadership because if the
plays a
leadership
part.
are not on the truth, I stay away from it.
Yeah, but they
the
play a
majority
big
of
part.
the people. Yeah, they play. Of course they do.
But you have to give. I agree that individual Palestinians may not.
Does
but you have-
Rishi Sunak represent all of us here?
No.
So if what Rishi Sunak is saying now, does that represent everyone else's agenda?
No, but you represent
Of course it doesn't.
the British.
No, he doesn't represent the British. He
does,
represents
it's not-
himself and the people above him. He doesn't represent a single person here.
It's not true.
Yeah, but it is.
It's not
The
how it's
majority
seen.
of it
Now,
is true.
like I agree. If you were to say
That's why we were outside 10 Downing Street yesterday. It
Few
didn't
of them, not
represent
much.
300,000 people.
What?
300,000 people.
Yeah, in the grand
I've
scheme-
never seen so many people
Yeah, but
in
in
all
the
my
grand,
life.
no, I'm not trying to be flippant. But you're talking about 300,000 people in the grand scheme. People don't care. Majority of the country don't care. That's what.
I think the majority do. Because they have that, again, it goes back to that common morality. They have that, we all care for children. We all care for innocent people that have nothing to do with this conflict.
I don't. I greatly don't.
Of course we do. I guarantee you, I would put my life savings on any person in England. If they saw a child being hurt, they would go to that child's aid. That's a common morality.
Yes, however, no, but it's not that simple. Because I agree that they saw a child being hurt, they'll do something about it. But however, if you were to tell them that's a terrorist, first of all, you'll do to half the country immediately.
How can a child be a terrorist?
You were to tell them that, I'm not saying he actually is. If you were to tell, you have the whole country, you said there's a child being hurt, you would stop, he's a terrorist, half the country would say goodbye immediately.
If a far-right extremist Zionist child was being hurt by Muslims, I'll be the first one to come to say,
First
I'll
of all,
die for it.
I'm not saying that he...
Because
you're
that's the common
You're not
morality.
understanding me. I'm not saying the child is a terrorist. I'm saying that if you were to have the whole country here, not physically possible, and there was a child hurting, and you would stand up and say, he's a terrorist, half the country would immediately turn their back. I think...
But that's a matter of opinion.
I agree that a poor child in the street, the whole country will feel bad. But the second you make it a tad more complicated, or you bring in a tad more politics, you'd lose a lot of the country. That's my point. I'm not saying the child is. I'm not saying that's what I'm not saying that is. I want to make it clear. I'm not saying the child is terrorist. I'm saying that when you talk
I know
about
what
people,
you're saying, but I think it's an opinion.
and we'll never know. Let's be realistic.
Exactly, we'll never know unless that situation
It's
unfolds
never possible.
before our eyes.
No, I agree. That's my point. I want to clarify. He's not a Hamas representative.
Okay, that is very clear. which is good. Morted, as you said.
Do I believe in resistance of the native people? Absolutely. Is there violence going to come from that? There doesn't have to be, but after 75 years of violence coming from the other side, it's going to breed violence.
Are you opposed to a two-state solution?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
If it's the only way, then of course I'm not opposition. But the people that are in that land now are not from there. The majority are not from there. They're settlers. So then how can they play the victim and say
Well, it depends
what
on
you're
how
doing
far
is
back
terrorism?
you want to
We're
go.
defending ourselves. How can you defend yourself against the people that already live there?
Can I ask you one quick question before I leave?
Of course you can.
Do you believe that the path forward for the Palestinian people to success is through violence? Do you believe that regardless of what type of violence they use, using reality and without bringing in that God will free them and God, using common nature, because while we have to believe in God, one should not rely on a miracle to achieve something. That's my faith, and that's your faith. Do you believe that violence will
Paths the way we have to walk it.
What?
God paths the way we have to walk it to answer that bit, but carry on.
Do you believe violence will achieve a Palestinian state? Whatever state you think, or do you believe any state, what do you think? Say,
The way the Zionists are running, yes, I do.
you believe that violence will achieve a state?
Yes.
Alright.
Do I want it?
No, I get that, but no, I'm asking if
No.
you think it. Alright.
Do I want it? No.
Love it.
But yeah, thank you. Shalom.
Always a pleasure. What's your name?
Khalil.
Love it.
Carry on if you want.
Yeah, appreciate the conversation. So what do you say then to the Israelis who say, okay, Khalid and Walid marched in here in 760 AD and took over the land from the Jews, and now we want it back?
Sorry.
Well,
Is that correct history? Is it speaking the truth here?
yes, absolutely. I think, once again, if I go by your standard of having to be an eyewitness there, no, that's not the truth. But that's what I have from both Islamic and from Christian sources.
If you look at the history of Jerusalem, every time there's been Muslim rule, and we follow Sharia to its core, everyone around us has been the Jews had their own society within Al-Andalus, the Christians had their own society. It was the same when Saladin took Jerusalem back. And it's been the same forever. Because it's within our laws to protect those that have other religions.
If we look at the archaeological evidence going all the way across the have a string of destroyed churches, burned down churches.
My advice to you in that situation is that the Muslims are not perfect, but Islam, because Islam condemns it. So the Muslims that did that, they're not following the Sunnis. That's the way it is. It's so plain and
The
simple.
same way the Crusaders invaded and killed innocent people.
Exactly.
Our religion condemned the same thing. The same way Crusaders came and demolished mosques. I'm sure any Christian is gonna condemn that. I mean, all of my friends,
A true Christian would, that
having
follows
lived in
the
the
teachings of
States,
Jesus.
having lived out in the Middle East for 12 years, any human being, whether of religion or not, condemns violence and demolition of civilizations.
Absolutely.
This is known, by the way, and it's in the FT today and the Times. There's a whole map of Gaza for the past 2,000 years, including the history of everything. To answer your thing about the solution, look, at this point in time, I think it has to be a two-state solution.
Two-state solution.
I understand the context completely, and I know the context of other people as well, but a two-state solution is the only way that's going to sort this out. With respecting international law and all these things. But that's a good start.
Do you think that's the only way
For what?
for this solution to sort itself out?
Both people need a home. Israel is where it is. Not going to go back to Germany or
But in
something.
1947 and 1948, the Muslims never had an issue with the Jews being in Palestine.
Man,
So
they're
it
gonna buy
was,
that.
it was at that point your
Man,
home.
The real Jews
It was your home.
of that area don't even believe in the Israeli state. This is also a known fact.
Yeah, a lot of Jews don't believe in an Israeli
Yeah.
state. Even King Solomon, I'm not sure of the source, but King Solomon said you're not to have your own country or state.
For a solution, for peace.
Yeah.
If we are calling for peace, it cannot but be a two-state solution.
Okay, but how's this going to happen? How's this going to happen?
Listen, go back to 48. There are experts and there are statesmen first. Not my expertise, but
Who's this got to come from? A Jewish expert, a Muslim expert, or someone
from
who's
both people?
from both people?
It has to come from the Palestinians and the Israelis.
I think the leaders on both sides at the moment need to go because I don't think they've got the solution.
The British,
They haven't got the solution. It's clear.
listen, then it won't work. If our government in the UK goes and brokers a deal with the Americans, it ain't gonna
They
work.
did that back then and they messed it up. I think they've done enough.
There is not one foreign military intervention that worked ever in the Middle East.
Sorry, forgive me, my hearing's quite bad. Could you step a little bit closer so I can hear you
I mean,
speak?
I'm just speaking as a bystander. But what
Alright,
I'm
fair
saying is there is no successful foreign military intervention. Listen, if there is, we'll ask for it right now. Come and tell us how many you want to kill.
Where are you from?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
But come and tell us how many you want to kill and guarantee peace. We'll all go die. But this has to stop. It has to stop.
Of course it does. I agree with
Going back to history, now we're living in 2023. Both sides did something wrong. You're right. You shouldn't be killing men. You shouldn't be killing anybody. Killing isn't going to solve anything. Because those babies, whether they're Jewish or Muslim or without the religion, are going to grow up feeling vengeful. How will you convince them we're going to be living side by side with these people?
Exactly. Exactly. Right. Thank you for your time.
I actually, I predate Israel by 3 months.
Oh, right, okay.
I was born in Palestine.
He was born in Palestine.
I'm 3 months older than
I
Israel.
gotta interject.
What's your name?
John.
John, nice to meet you, John. I'm Philip. Nice to meet you. Well, there you go. I mean, I watched a video today and it showed an old atlas. And I think it was like from 1923 or 24. There's no Israel on it.
No, it was the British mandate in Palestine.
Yeah.
So it's this weird League of. I just read about all it. I mean, obviously this makes you want to read about it. But the League of Nations, which obviously came to a sticky end, set up all these. And I always thought, why is it called the Palestinian Mandate?
Yeah.
And actually, apparently, it was. Apologies, you might already know about all this. You had Woodrow Wilson, who obviously was against any empires. And you had this guy called Jan Smuts. There's like a statue of him in Parliament Square. He's like a South African general. Yeah, and he was sort of the British imperial side. And they said, well, look, we conquered this stuff in the First World War. All the European empires were saying, these become part of our empire, right? Yeah. That's how it works. And Woodrow Wilson didn't want this at all. He was like, look, come on, it's time to give this stuff up. And the compromise was this League of Nations.